Alright y'all, it's JC the Sniper, and here I come once again, and I've got another knife review. And today we're going to be reviewing the Ka-Bar USMC fighting knife. Pretty awesome blades, pretty sweet. Yeah, they're pretty awesome. I like them a lot. I have several, and I've used them quite a bit, and we're going to talk about them today. So hold your horses, because this is what we're getting ready to do. Alright, philosophy of use for these knives. First of all, these knives are going to be used for just about anything you want to use them for. I mean, they're pretty much legit. They're sturdy, they're strong, they're capable. You know, they're excellent knives. What I would imagine them being used for mostly is some heavy outdoor work, perhaps a survival knife, combat knife if you want. I mean, this knife was designed for hunting and combat, so that's what it's good at. You know, if you want to do fine cutting work, maybe not this knife. Just, you know, it's a big knife. So I would put this firmly in the range of survival and combat knives, for sure. Size, we'll talk about size. 7-inch blade. And it is, according to the website, 11 7/8 inches overall. So, you know, it's pretty big. It's a decent sized blade. 7 inches is a nice length. I think it's, you know, just for comparison, we'll pop a Spyderco Military up here. You know, there's a Spyderco Military. And the blade is almost, well, a couple inches short of being the length of the entire knife, but it's a pretty decent sized blade. Yes, I know it's a folding knife, so really isn't something I would compare this with, but I had it on hand. So anyway, it's an excellent size for this kind of knife. For a combat knife, you know, you don't want a freaking machete. Like, you don't want an 11-inch long blade. Or maybe you do, but I don't know. It's a good size because it's quick. It has speed. You know, you can really move this thing quick if you need to, and you can still get a pretty good chop with it. It's well balanced with the weight. Just inside the handle is the balance point. So, you know, it's a good balance because it leaves it feeling quick, and it leaves it able to move fast, but you can still get a pretty good chop in because it's pretty decently hefty. As for weight, it is, according to the website, once again, 0.7 pounds. So, you know, I don't know exactly what that translates to in ounces, but almost 3/4 of a pound. So that's going to be, you know, it's pretty decently heavy. Not the heaviest knife out there, but definitely not the lightest. In this particular model, well, we're not going to talk about handle yet. Steel. It's a 1095 chromium vanadium steel. So it's a good, you know, it's a 1095 high carbon steel. It is definitely not rust proof. I mean, it's a high carbon steel, so it will rust up on you. You can see on this one there's some traces of rim oil, because I leave my knives in rim oil when I'm not using them. So this one had been coated in rim oil, and there's some on there still. But you know, you coat them up with some rim oil when you're not using them, like I have here, you won't have any trouble with it. As you can see, this edge is nice and shiny, and this was stored all summer while I was at OCS, and I haven't used it since I've been back. So this has been stored for 6 months, and it still looks new, blade wise. And I've actually used this quite a bit, and it's held up very well. I mean, the coating is still pretty nice. It's like a baked on, maybe a powder coat. I'm not sure exactly how they coat these, but this one's got a nice coat, and it's got that fancy looking black blade, you know, pretty sweet. You've got a fuller in here. Getting into blade shape, you know, I really like this blade shape. It's a clip point blade, and it's you know, it's a Bowie blade. It'd be a big old clip point Bowie. You have a decent amount of belly up here. Got some good belly, and then you got a long flat section. You know, probably got 5 inches of flat and then 2 inches of belly. So if you want to slash somebody, you got some decent belly for that. You can get a good chop in. You know, it's got a nice pointy tip. The tip is pretty sharp, but also pretty strong. So, you know, that's pretty nice. Got this little false back swedge here. It's not actually sharp. I've seen where people have sharpened those to give them the back cut. If you watch Nut and Fancy's videos, he has one or two where he's sharpened the back swedge there, which is kind of cool, but I don't know, it's not really my thing. I don't need a sharpened back swedge. I mean, what's the point? If I stab a guy, I mean, it's really not going to matter. So anyway, there's that. But like I say, it's pretty sharp. I mean, pretty pointy. So if you make a thrust, you know, that's going to go in. Then we've got a fuller here, or blood groove as you might know it. Contrary to popular belief, blood grooves do not prevent suction and help you pull the blade out of somebody when you stab them. That's not what that's for. The only purpose of a blood groove is either for looks or to lighten the blade. Now, that's originally why they fullered blades, was because you have a full-length broadsword. Well, if you put a fuller down it, you remove a pretty significant amount of metal, and you allow the blade to retain its strength while removing some of the weight to allow the blade to be faster. So the removal of that metal there allows us to retain the strength of the blade and make it a little bit lighter. That probably shaves a couple ounces. So, you know, it helps that balance stay where they want it and keep the knife light and fast. So that's the actual purpose of a blood groove. And I know people are probably going to argue with me, but that's the way it is. It just doesn't work. It doesn't reduce suction. And then you can see this one stamped USMC. I don't know if my other one is or not. Yeah, stamped USMC. You can get these stamped in different things. And there we've got Ka-Bar, Olean, I guess that's how you pronounce that, New York. These are made in the United States, which is a plus for a lot of us, I know. So I like that. Speed obviously does not apply to opening in this circumstance, but it does apply to the speed of the blade in hand. This blade feels very manageable in hand. You know, very, very nice, manageable blade. Let me go ahead and pull the other one out here just so it gets some airtime as well. Here's my other one, and this one has a different coating, but I think this is a similar type. May also be a powder coat. It's a little bit more textured. I don't know if you can see that. And it's that gray color. You know, so we've got the black and the gray. You know, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Whatever. This one is not stamped USMC. As you can see, that one's stamped USMC. This is more the traditional. This one has USA stamped on the blade and 1221. So I guess that's probably the model. But once again, Ka-Bar, Olean, New York. And this one here, you can see, has the serrations. You know, usually I'm not a fan of serrations, and you know that if you watch my videos. However, these are nice serrations. They've done these well. They're scalloped rather than being those sharp, nasty things. So these will actually cut rather than tearing materials. So that's pretty decent, and they are sharp. And these things come pretty much, they're not freaking razor sharp, but it's got a good working edge. I mean, it's reasonably sharp. About how I want it if I'm going to be working with my blade, and this is a blade for working. So, I mean, you know, whatever you're doing, if you're stabbing somebody, whatnot, you don't need the thing to be a razor sharp shaving edge, because it's just going to go dull the second you go to baton a piece of wood or some crap like that. But I like the coating on this one. It's pretty fancy. Looks kind of cool. Matches the pommel and the foreguard. So that's cool. Strength. These are very strong blades. As you can see there, that is a very thick blade. You know, it's not quite a 1/4 of an inch, maybe 3/16 thick. Very thick blade. And you can see here the end of the tang. So it has a full-length rat tail tang. And both of these have that. See it there. And it terminates in a powdered metal pommel that is pinned to the blade, or pinned to the tang there. So that's pretty nice. One nice thing this does have is it has a lanyard hole, which this one doesn't have. But both of these have a good striking pommel. You could hammer with that if you needed to, because they're nice and flat on the end. You crack somebody with it. You do just about anything you want. But you know, good if you need to pound something in, whatever. So that's a nice little feature. So anyway, very strong blades. You know, what can you say about a blade with a full-length tang? I mean, it's going to be strong, and this is a big old chunk of steel. So, about as strong as you can ask for. Handle material. Obviously, we got a couple different handle materials with Ka-Bars. This one is that Kraton, I guess is how you pronounce it. You know, grooved, rubbery stuff. Truth be told, it doesn't have, like, it's kind of slick, you know, but it grips pretty well with those grooves in there. And, you know, it grips well enough. You can lock in on it pretty good. The one thing I don't like about this version is it doesn't have the extra guard on top like this one has. You get a guard on top and on bottom. Your hand isn't going to slide up on that. This one, yeah, I mean, you're probably good. You got a bottom one, probably not going to slide up, but just not quite as secure as the other. So I don't know. I like the other a little bit better in that respect. But you know, no big deal. Other than that, I do like this rubber material. It grips pretty well, like I said. You know, decent pommel. Got the lanyard hole. I really don't care that much about the lanyard hole. Yeah, because I probably won't put a lanyard on this knife, but some of you guys might. Handle material on this one, as I said earlier, it's stacked leather washers. And, you know, once again, you got grooves in there. This grips really well when it's dry. If it gets wet, this thing is freaking slick. But when it's dry, it's great. It grips really, really well when it's dry. I like it a lot. Just don't get it wet. And, you know, again, got the powdered butt cap. Good for whacking things, people's heads, if you need to, I guess. So, that's pretty sweet. Ergonomics, you know, pretty much covered it. You know, it grips well. Got a swell in the middle of the handles. Both the handle shapes are the same. As you can see, they're pretty much the same size. Both got those grooves to help you grip it, and the pommel to help you not slide off the back end. And particularly this one with that big old knob, you're never going to slide off the back of this thing. So you're probably not going to lose your grip on these when you go to chop something, because they got a good amount of, you know, whatever you call that, to lock you in. So that's nice. But ergonomically speaking, they're well designed. They just, you know, that handle locks in nicely. It's got a nice thickness to it. It fills your hand well. So, you know, they don't, it feels like a man's knife. It doesn't feel like a puny little knife that, you know, doesn't fill your hand up. It fills your hand good, and it's shaped nicely to fit your hand. Like I mentioned before, this one's got the double guard. This has only got a single guard, but you got plenty of options there, so you can do whatever you want. But, like, you know, ergonomically speaking, they're nice. Nothing on top of the spine, jimping or anything. With this one, because there's no top guard, that might be nice. With this one, it's not necessary because there's a double guard. You're not going to put your thumb over that guard. That's just awkward. So that's not a big deal. Might be nice on this knife, but that's just not how they do it. Sheaths. The sheaths that come, well, the leather sheaths, I should say, suck. They're not that great. I mean, they're okay for what they are. For a leather sheath, they're not bad. But these are awesome. These are way better. I would spend the money and get one of these. You've got 2 different securing methods. They'll fit any of your Ka-Bars. You've got first, it latches in, and then second, for extra security, you can button the snap. And then you have a lot of different options for securing it. You got the little, whatever you call that, little ring there to thread. You got the belt loop. You've got multiple slots for molly type crap. You got the tie points for threading stuff through. So you got a lot of options there, and you know, it's pretty sweet. So pop that snap, and then to release it, you just push back here and pull this straight out. So these are excellent. I love them. Very secure. This will not shake out of here. I've run with it like this, upside down, tied to a vest, and it stays in there. I don't have any trouble with it. So that's excellent. Probably talk about these a little bit more in a separate video. Anyway, I guess that's about it on these Ka-Bars. Oh, one more thing. I was going to talk about value. The value on these, in my opinion, is excellent. You can get a Ka-Bar for 70 bucks probably, maybe less than that. There's a gun store around here I can get them for 60. You know, that's not without a discount or anything. So, you know, you're getting a lot of knife for that price. You know, who else makes a knife this level of quality, proven in combat? You know, such a classic styling. You got that big old 7-inch Bowie, just clean lines. I mean, this knife is just, it's all business. It's no frills. It's simple, but it gets the job done. You got your 7-inch blade. You got good stabbing capabilities. You got good slashing capabilities. You got a sharp edge. You can make it razor sharp if you want. You know, a 1095 steel, made in the USA. You got your choice of handle materials, guards, colorations, all that jazz. Serrations, no serrations. And for 60, 70 bucks, I mean, in my opinion, that's a pretty sweet deal. And these will last you for a long time. These Ka-Bars hold up well. They sharpen well. They're just very well made knives. And because of that, I ascribe these an excellent value. And I will definitely be keeping them in my collection. Hopefully acquiring more. Excellent knives. Probably going to carry one of these when I deploy. So, that's about it. Rocking the Ka-Bars. JC the Sniper, signing off.